Hey there, it's Mr. McTavish, and this was the challenge yesterday. It was the prime numbers program. So let's go over prime number, integer greater than 1, evenly divisible by only 1 and itself. For example, 2, 3, 5, and 7 are prime numbers, but 4, 6, 8 are not. So we need to prompt the user for a number and then display a message indicating whether the number is prime or not. And there's a hint that modulus operator can be used. So a couple strategies with this. First off is that we need to check if a number is divisible. So what I'm going to do is I am actually going to start right here, and I will get the user input later, but for now, so we'll just pick a random number. I picked 7. And what I'll do is I am going to also create another variable that's going to be is prime. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to assume that the number is prime. So I'm going to do some tests, and if the number is not prime, then I'm just going to eliminate it. Now, what I want to do is I want to check all the numbers and see if there's any number that's divisible. So basically, I want to check 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and see if any of them can divide into 7. The reason I'm not starting at 1 is because we know that it's already divisible by 1. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to have a for loop for my variable I. I'm going to start at the value of 2. And is I less than my number, and increase I. So I'm just going to have a loop, and I'm going to go through each of the numbers from 2 to 7. So this will check 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not checking 7 because 7 is divisible by itself. So if it's divisible, then the number is not prime. So I'm just going to check that. So if it's divisible by I, so that means if there's a remainder of 0, then what's going to happen is prime is going to be false. So that's what I'm going to check. So I'm going to take a number from the user. So take a number from the user. I'm going to assume that the number is prime. And then I'm going to do a check. I'm going to loop through every number from 2 all the way up to 1 less than the number. I'm just going to check, is this number divisible by the number? And if it is, then I know that the number is not prime. So I set it to false. And after my loop, I should be able to put down whether it's prime or not. So let's just test this. So for now, 7 is prime. So let's try 8. 8 is not prime. It's divisible by 2. What about 9? 9 should not be prime because it's divisible. Perfect. What about 11? 11 is prime. So this looks like it works. I'm just going to do a quick check. Prime numbers 1 to 100. So here's all the prime numbers. So 67 is a prime number, so I'll test that. And it's prime, but 68 should not be. Perfect. Obviously, I can change this. I can quickly go is prime. And have my output in here. Have my output here. So once I've got all this done, now I can start focusing on the user interface. And there's my good old hello world. Gonna just switch that. Input type text ID equals num. Add a break, and let's add a button. I'll call it check prime. And it's so much simpler if I copy and paste things so that way and I'll have my output. There we go. So in my script, all of this needs to be in a function. So everything's in a function now, and auto format will line everything up, so that's great. Right here, this is what I want to replace. So good old document. And remember, IntelliSense makes it so much easier. I'm not typing very much. Now this, I kept a very simple name and get my value. All right, so if it's prime, again, use copy and paste. Make it easy on yourself. Output dot inner HTML is going to be num plus is prime. There we go. So now I can check if the number is prime. If I put in 67, 67 is prime. If I put in 69 or 70, let's check. 70 is not prime. If I do 1, 1 is prime. Now here's what's happening. Let's just add some console stuff so you can see what's going on. In loop, I this is in if and I'll just put 1 here. Okay, so here's what's going on. This is just troubleshooting so you can see what's going on. Okay, when I run this, let's pick 5. So what happens before the loop? The number is 5. So it goes in the loop. I is 2, I is 3, I is 4. Okay, there we go. Now, if I try 6, before the loop, number is 6. In loop, I is 2. Now, I'm in the if statement because 6 is divisible by 2. The remainder would be 0. So that's why I'm in the if statement. Then I'm in the loop. I also get it for 3. I also get it for 5. Let's go back to 1 now. What happens when it's 1? When it's 1, and I can't just move that. Let's just refresh so that we clear the console. Before the loop, number is 1 and it's true. So what happens is that it's true. I'm checking here because I is 2 and num is 1. So 2 is less than 1. That's false. So I am immediately out of the loop. And because I assumed it was prime, 1 is automatically detected as prime. And there we go. Bob's your uncle. So that's how that is working. Now, I'm going back into 6 because the problem is you can see I'm doing multiple times through this if statement, and that's a problem. It's calculating multiple times when all I need is one situation for it to be false, and it's false. So I'm just going to add the word break. Watch what happens now. When I run it, before the loop, number is 6. So in the loop, I is equal to 2. I'm in the if statement, I is equal to 2. So it's false. So now it breaks out of my loop, and because of that keyword break, and because it's breaking out of the loop, it's just going straight to here, and it's going to run it's not prime because it's not. So that allows me to take a number like 100, and it only takes one step for it to solve. Where if I don't have that break statement and I put in 100, did I refresh that? Yeah, there we go. So look at all the calculations that are done when it's 100. And if by simply breaking out of the loop, I can reduce the calculations. Boom. So my program is going to run much faster. So a little trick that is really handy is breaks. So the key thing for here is set, this is called the sentinel, set something that I'm going to assume that this is true. And the moment you prove me false, then I can just break out of my loop and put my output. So a lot of you are trying to do the output in the loop. And you'll notice my strategy is slightly different. I don't do the output in the loop at all. My loop is solely focused on trying to determine when something is false. I assume it's true. I want it to prove me false, and then after the loop, I'm going to output it. Hope that's useful. Chat to you later.